pew, pew, pew. Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome in to a brand new episode of Snaps Your Favorite Daily College Football Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, T-Bob Hebert. It's April 4th, which feels crazy. It's April 4th. Look at this. Algorithms popping today, boys. A lot of people already here in the show, things we absolutely love to see, and that's because y'all are listening every day. You're hitting the like button. Many of you are going and reviewing the show for us. I was trying to find Spotify reviews just now. We'll look at all that later. Bottom line, we love y'all. What up? Look at this. We got our guy Byron Garrett watching from Rome, Georgia. What's happening? We got Oscar L. Lozano Benitez watching live from Puerto Rico. Carlton Butler from Freeport, Bahamas. Let's go, dude. And shout out to we got Brubacan, Thomas Dare, the Air Day, everybody in here. Greg Hendricks, you know who you are. We love you all. A-Barge, all of our regulars. Good day today. Okay, we actually got a lot of college football talk to get to. Aaron is on cloud 9 as it's Masters Week. So shout out to all the middle-aged dads out there who just cannot wait to park it on. Yeah, what's going on? What?
Middle age. You're calling me middle-aged.
Yeah, let's
not throw me into the category of middle-aged just yet. Okay, just because you're 34 doesn't mean you got to clump this 32-year-old into that next stages of life. I'm not middle-aged. No.
Wait, okay. Hold on. Hold on.
When does middle age start? When in your mind is middle age?
Once you're 32 and above. Once you're 32 and above. No. You think you're living till 80, dog? You really think you're living till 80 after all that football you played? I think Nick Fairley alone took off. I think Nick Fairley took off at least 5 years off your life.
But my family has long lives, especially my mom's side. They live into their 90s. So even if you take a few years off, it's still in the 80s right now.
The women or the men? The women or the men? This is key here.
Both. Plus, I take care of myself. I take my turmeric. I take my little probiotic shots.
You want me to die? You never told me to take any of this stuff. I don't take turmeric or probiotic shots. What the fuck, dude?
You get body work every Thursday to work out all your little demons. So don't start with
It's different Wednesday, though. What is turmeric supposed to do?
I honestly don't know. I feel like I sound really cool when I say I take turmeric shots every day. It's supposed to help with inflammation, I think. I think that
Also,
that's
I know
like
you're
the
talking
main
about
gist.
drinking shots, but when you take turmeric shots, I'm just like picturing you like filling up a syringe and just jabbing your ass with turmeric every day and being like, I think I'm gonna live forever, boys. No, Aaron, you're a father of two in your 30s. You're middle aged. I don't know what else to tell you. Like once you, because like
I'm not
really,
middle aged.
yes,
Not
because you do it off of your
no,
retirement age. Retirement is 65, right? There you go. 32. You're right halfway there. Look, you have a lot to look forward to. You have your Jesus year to look forward to. My Jesus
I
year
do.
was maybe the best year of my entire life.
Nice.
I was blessed with another child. We got to create this incredible show, Snaps. That's kind of the two highlights, but that's two more highlights than you have most years, right? Like that's pretty damn good, dude. Oh, Brian Kelly got hired as the LSU coach, beat Alabama. Jesus year. Okay, that was a huge bonus. So you got a lot to look forward to. Like, just accept being middle-aged and understand that it in no way means that you're not in your prime and that good things can't happen.
No. I'm fully in prime. If the XFL called today, I could strap it up, T-Bob, go out there and play. Like that is where I am right now. So no. Yes, I could easily. Who put a poll up? Who if XFL called team snaps today, who would be more prepared to go out there and play?
To be fair, we
T-Bob
do have a
Aaron?
poll up right now, and this is Aaron middle age, and 53% people say yes.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
actually,
That's democracy.
That's
and also
50,
talking about great things that happened in Not Your Jesus year. We do have our brand new email address, handsonballs53@gmail.com, to take your questions.
Hands on ball 53.
Like
hands on balls. Okay, hands on balls 53@gmail.com. I'm gonna say I think this is entirely too convoluted of an email address, but we will let the audience decide. So
Snaps was taken.
We want to start doing questions at least once a week. And so the Gmail we've set up, handsonballs53@gmail.com. Send your questions in there and we will answer them.
Speaking of balls, I found this pretty funny. So I had my afternoon show the other day with Pat Bradley, the shooter, and this was post vasectomy. And he's like, "Hey, this is literally like the beginning of the show." And he goes, "Man, I saw your your video on social media. Like, how did you say goodbye? Like, was it rough seeing them go?" Like, he honestly thought like I was getting neutered like a dog.
Wait, he thought you got your nuts cut out and taken away completely?
He thought it was like a
castrated.
Yes. Well, I don't think is castrated nuts? Is that considered
Yeah, right. Yeah, a eunuch is somebody without nuts. You still have a penis. I'm pretty sure if you chop off your penis, you die. Don't quote me on that. But I feel like I remembered hearing about pirates.
I don't
back
think
in
so
the
because
day.
there's the whole gender change. There's a whole gender change, and they do.
Nope.
Well, okay,
Nope.
You are stepping into some problematic waters here. We're not
going to get into that.
We're going to back up because changing a penis into a vagina is not just chopping off the penis. So I don't like.
We are not doing this here. We are doing literally anything else.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know. I thought I used to hear stories about pirates marooning sailors and chopping off their penises, and then they couldn't pee, and they would die of pee buildup. Though now that I'm saying this all out loud, this feels crazy. I don't know if anything I just said is true, actually. But hold on. But let's get back to the original point here, which is Pat Bradley's an insane man. Like, I know it was funny when I thought that you were that we would be shooting blanks, but this man literally thought that they were just straight up castrating you like a dog, and that you would be a eunuch. You would be like a medieval eunuch.
If you don't use it, you lose it level of logic from other ways.
Yeah. Unbelievable, dude. Can you imagine if that was an outpatient procedure? Like you walk in and you don't even get and he's just like pulling out nutsacks in front of you? That'd be awful. Did you see anything get did you see a piece of meat get pulled out when you did your surgery?
Stop. No, I don't want to talk about this anymore. No, I had my eyes closed or I was looking at the ceiling. Like the only thing I saw was him just using scissors snipping away in the air.
Hey, Aaron, how about them dogs? Oh. No, I always think of it like the scene in Lord of the Rings when the orc's like, meat's back on the menu, boys. And then he goes to this wide shot and you just see like a comical intestine flying through the air. That's what I imagine it's going to be like. Just the doctor be like, and there's going to be like a little stringy piece of meat, just the fajita meat fly off. Wait, so what did Pat say when you let him know that you still have your balls?
I think he was relieved. I do think he was like, okay, thank God.
Oh,
yeah.
Woo! Woo! So
we could still be friends. I mean, he wasn't like messing around. Like he was like fully in the process of like felt really bad for me that my nuts were gone.
No, exactly.
Still there,
no, like
still there for a nice cold day. Still there for a nice cold day to kind of warm the hands up.
Thomas Thayer says college football podcast LL talks about balls 90% of every show. I mean, fair if you can, but to be fair, like how often is it that two college football podcast hosts both get their balls cut at the exact same time? And to be fair, playing center and quarterback, it's inherently ball related, both in the fact that if me and Aaron would play together, his knuckles would have spent hours grazing my balls. And
the literal email address.
Exactly. Hands on balls 53@gmail.com. And
but
I
see,
snapped the ball.
We were always taught put the hand in Coach Rick would say the duty hole. He would say, get your middle knuckle and put your middle knuckle. And he would have this was the most, he would have the center bend forward and then reach his hand back and point to where his butthole was. Saying this is where to put your knuckle.
No.
You would literally Ben Jones would bend over, grab his hand, go between his leg and say, right here is my duty hole in front of Coach Rick and Mike Bobo. And then I'd have to get my knuckles and put my knuckles right there in his duty hole. That was where we would put our hands because he knows where his butthole is. Now I know where it is. Snap the ball there and we're good to go. Set hike. Have you never
did you Sharpie? Did you Sharpie a little brown eye on his butthole so you knew when you had the silver pants on during the game?
I got used to the spot.
No, that is the most sus thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, well, there's something incredibly sexual to me about me reaching between my legs to point out my own butthole. Like it doesn't feel athletic at all. It feels like something that should be reserved for the bedroom. That's and then you would just knuckle up in there like a spaceship docking. You just wow. I mean, you'll have to show me when you get.
We didn't have many fumbles. Yeah, I'll see you in a few weeks. We'll try it out.
I never. I had
definitely
no fumbles.
a TikTok
so how about
video.
That? Knuckleball. I agree. Yeah, it gives a whole new meaning to knuckleball, doesn't it, Clint? That does make a lot more sense, though, Aaron, on some of your other stories that you've told us about what you may or may not enjoy. Yeah, I guess you've been practicing for a while, you could say. All right, so coming up on today's show, we got the 4 biggest challengers to Georgia football. We got Hugh Freeze with an interesting proposal on what to do with spring games. We have, hey, guess what, guys? I made a Nebraska topic and didn't tell y'all, so suck it. Matt Rule continuing to heal the wounds of the past of Nebraska. And then if we have time at the end, I've got a Nick Saban compliment that I'm not sure if it's a compliment or not. Jalen Carter decision, Jim Nantz swan song and the Natty last night. Last one though, get your guesses in right now. Did last night's men's national championship beat the women's national championship on Sunday viewership wise? 9.9 milli watched the women's national championship on Sunday. What do you think, Brum? You're kind of the most informed opinion among this group.
I thought I saw an early number, so I will abstain from the game.
Well, okay, no, that's fine. I'm already on record as I think the women are going to barely edge them out. What's the male number?
Let me confirm it and I'll get back to you.
Okay, cool. All right, let's start with Hugh Freeze. Aaron, as Hugh Freeze is out there and he's like, we got A-Day coming up and it's tough because I want to put on a good show for the fans, but I don't want to show anything. And basically Hugh Freeze doesn't like the idea of traditional spring games, right? He says it's, you can't really do what you want to do because you're in such a public eye that you're still trying to kind of hide things. So it's kind of a waste of time because you're scrimmaging against yourself. Injury risk is doubled. And his solution is to let's play some exhibition games, like a true exhibition game. Like get a small school from in-state, be it a Troy, a USA, somebody like that. Let's square up. I'm sure, like the regular season, you would probably pay that school to come. Probably wouldn't cost as much as a regular season game. Yeah. Hugh talked about using the gate and any money made from the stadium to go to a charitable cause, which is obviously a great idea. And there's something at first where, okay, on the whole, I could kind of leave it or take it. But if you did want to do something from the fans, this is more interesting to me from fan perspective. The only thing, though, Aaron, is I don't understand if one of his core issues is, well, it's televised, so I can't do what I want. If you scrimmage another team, it's still going to be televised, and aren't you still not going to be able to do what you want?
In the injury thing, too, doesn't make sense. Like, oh, if we have an A-Day, there's going to be all these mass injuries, but if we scrimmage another team, the injuries go down dramatically. I think he said like 50%. I'm like, wait, what?
He's just saying because in an inter squad, your players are 100% of the players on the field. If you're playing another team, your players are 50% of the people on the field. So he's just saying having 22 players versus 11 players out there.
I still think there's more of a case when you can't control the variables as well. He brought into the sense of, the NFL does it. And NFL has all these scrimmages, against team versus team, where a team will travel to someone for a week. They'll practice. They'll end up playing the game against each other afterwards. And what do you see? Like, I don't know, 6-7 times out of 10, the two teams end up fighting. And these are grown-ass men getting paid millions of dollars. And we always see it on SportsCenter, someone's throwing hands. The problem with a scrimmage, you never know how hard you can go. So when you don't know how hard you can go,
it's because
then all of a sudden, that's when injuries do kind of happen a little bit. And that's when fights occur. Because all of a sudden you got little old Troy coming in to play Auburn, and they're kind of saying like, hey, that transport portal thing's real. And that thing opens up next week. I would love for this to be kind of my showcase game to Auburn and Hugh Freeze. Let me go out there and ball out. So I'm going balls to the wall, tackling, running full speed, trying to moss dudes, all this shit. And someone gets hurt. Someone gets disrespected because I'm an Auburn guy and I'm kind of like, I just don't want to get hurt. It's April. Like, I'm not trying to get hurt. I'm trying to play, get the hell out of here and get the break. And all of a sudden, this kid from Troy is trying to show out to earn a scholarship here at Auburn. I'm not going to get disrespected in front of my fans either. Then all of a sudden, issues happen. I don't like any of it. The controlled scrimmage, you dictate how you want it to be done. You dictate contact, no contact. You get your young guys in there, get them some experience in front of the fans. You really don't need to see the veteran guys too much. To me, the day is a celebration. It's an opportunity for the fans to get back in the stadium. It's an opportunity for them to be on campus. It's to kind of get a small taste of what's going to happen in the fall. And for the players, like, it's get in, get out. Get in, get out. It's a celebration. It's the end of spring ball. You go out that night, you party hard, you get ready for Maymester where you get to go home and kind of have a break, and then it's back to the summer grind after that. That's it. Doesn't need to be any more than that. I just think you run into so many issues where it is just so hard to judge how hard you go, and someone's going to try to be a superhero, and then some stupid shit's going to happen.
Well, okay, and those are all very, very good points. And even now, it's like, so I think, what I loved what you were getting at the end there, which is if you really want to do something for the fans that could be competitive and could be fun, I think your focus just has to be on the young guys, because make no mistake, Hugh Freeze is not wrong when he calls the spring game a wasted day. It's not to say that you can't learn things. Like, even in my own playing experience, I remember like the last week up to the spring game, I had some really bad practices, but in the spring game itself, it was a bit more of it was when I was trying to win my first starting job, right? It was a bit more dumbed down because there was like no blitz, it was like base defenses, base offensive plays, and I played really well. And that helped my case somewhat, but also like it wasn't fully representative of what was going on because the defense wasn't really trying to stress you mentally or anything else like that. So like, look, if you're talking about the actual spring game itself, while you can get some info, it's never representative of the full playbook. It doesn't decide who wins jobs. You never really learn anything important. So in my mind, do all the important work in the practices when you have to, and then have a young guy game. Now, granted, I think it's probably impossible for a team to field 2 full teams, all of reserves, right? Without incurring some risks that maybe they don't want to, but maybe you can, right? But or maybe this is where you start to hybrid the ideas and you take Hugh Freeze's idea. Okay, let's play a smaller school only. We're only going to play young guys who are not going to be starters, and you give them a simple playbook to work with. In a way, it could be more exciting for the fans because you get your eyes on players that you would never really get your eyes on otherwise. And can you imagine the amount of conclusions that would be drawn from some spring game heroes, right? Some like young freshman running back or wide receiver who looks great out there, maybe goes on to do nothing. But like, I don't know that I need to see Jalen Carter making a play during a spring game to get me any more excited about Jalen Carter.
No, but I want to play the spring game though. Like I want to play. I want to go out there. Like you work for 14 practices. I'm just going back in my mind of like what G-Day for me was like, and it was a lot of fun. I didn't play a ton. I probably played a half total, but it was still cool. Like that was what you work towards. Is like we grind through spring. We kind of grinded through mat drills and off-season workouts. Then you spring break. Then you start spring practice, 3 practices a week, and then the culmination of it is G-Day. Like that's what you work for, and the fans are there. Depends on how big of a deal it is. Georgia, we'd have 50, 60,000 people there. Like, I want to go out there and play some football. Like, I don't want to sit my ass on the bench and miss an opportunity to have a little bit of fun. Like, we play in practice to go enjoy the game that we love. And that is a somewhat of a game situation. The uniform's on. You got the red jerseys and the white jerseys for Georgia.
Dude,
you
didn't still love it when you were an upperclassman. There's no way.
I did love
I remember
it.
as a young guy, I was hyped. As a senior, I was like, let's get out of here. Yeah. Okay, exactly. See, that's such a salient point. You are getting the quarterback perspective. He literally has zero contact, y'all. He steps out there. He might as well be playing 7-on-7. We are getting after it, dude. It's like you said, you got young guys who are all hyped up to be playing in front of like 15,000 people. And granted, you can kick their ass, but like you're still having to play. You're still getting concussions potentially. You're still going head-to-head, climbing to the second level. You're back there sitting in the pocket, just throwing the ball. Oh, did I get tagged? Oh, okay. I guess it's a sack then. Get the hell out of here. You cannot trust a quarterback's perspective.
So you don't love playing football. You don't love playing football. You love what football gives. You don't actually enjoy playing the game of football. That's what I'm getting from this. It's an opportunity to put the pads on, play some football in front of the home fans. I want to go out there and play.
Yes, you got me fucked up if you think my senior year I wanted to be on the field. And I'll never forget it. We ended up going on like some 20-play drives or something. So basically the defense was clowning us because the starting defense literally played like 6 plays the entire second half of the game. We're out here fucking, I don't know, like 40 or something, just sweating our ass off in Louisiana heat.
Running inside toss.
Yeah, just running power because we can't run any. Just power and horn boss constantly. No, I did not think the spring game was particularly fun. As a young guy, I had adrenaline coursing through my body. I remember it was at night, one of the most excited I've ever been. So that's why I think spring, the actual game itself, could be, I guess it's only if you're trying to create a competitive game, could be very interesting if you just featured young on young and maybe even make it fun and you let the upperclassmen coach some positions and stuff, right? You get to throw the hat on. You feel like, we used to do this. They got rid of it, but at the beginning of my college, we used to do this. I think the bye week, we called it the toilet bowl. Yep. And it would be like the scout teams basically going toe to toe with the old guys coaching. And I always thought it was a lot of fun. But no, I don't love spring football. I love playing in games. That's the crazy part about football. Nobody likes practice. Okay. Some of the freaks do. Quarterbacks tend to like it more than most because again, practice is easy for
game
y'all.
Fuel though, like we did treat it
not
like
by
this
the
was
time
a game
you've
day.
been. No, but not by the time that you know this. Not by the time that you've been in the actual battles. Pre-starting in the SEC, yes.
It was a little
starting in the
tease.
SEC, no.
It was. I agree. No one loves practice, but this was the closest thing of a game-like atmosphere that you're going to get. Once again, this is like a little funneling of the cojones, a little teaser here to kind of get you excited as a player. Like, I'm back in Sanford. I'm back in Tiger Stadium. I'm back in this stadium or that Jordan Air, and I'm in front of my fans, and I get to go out there and put the pads on and play some ball. Like it's fun. T-Bob just hates football, guys. It's plain and simple.
I used to like going to do closed scrimmages in Tiger Stadium for that reason, to get in the stadium. No, bro, you are no. I'm sorry. I shouldn't get mad at you, because it simply is your pampered quarterback perspective, right? It's and trust me, I had a silver spoon upbringing, so I understand it, right? I can, when I see it, I can see it. And it's just what Thomas Dare says right here. Aaron just walks up, throws a couple dimes, and goes and smiles at the cheerleaders. That's the spring game for a quarterback. Yeah. Whereas the O-line is sitting there like, God, my head hurts so bad. I need some pain off. I broke my leg in a spring scrimmage one time. Do you know how annoying that was? It's the closest I've ever come to wanting to quit football.
Why do we want to mess around trying to play another team? No good would happen from it. You could still
make the young guys play. Money away. Young guy go. I mean,
that's the only way I would do it. That's the only way I would do it. But these coaches still want to get some of the but you're acting like this is a completed roster like the NFL, where you know who your 22 starters are going to be. Like, there's still a lot of position battles where the coaches kind of want to see, how does this young kid act? Say a redshirt guy or a guy that played a little bit more on special teams year before. How do they act in this sort of environment? Yes, it's not a game day, but it's as close as we can get it to. Like, I want to see him play. So, you may bench, 10 guys, 10 returning starters, but you want to see those battles. You want to see how guys react and play.
So you're right. And I guess I should point that out. In this theoretical thing I'm setting up in my head, it is really only the elite few that are getting excused from playing at all. So I see what you're saying. Then you're getting into a problematic line of like, where do you draw the line? Does somebody get mad because this guy you didn't have to play, but you have to play? Like, everything's going to come with problems.
That's why these coaches get paid $9 to $10 million to figure out getting problems like who's playing in the spring game.
Spring games are stupid, dude.
No, they have to worry about transfer portal brum and talking to 16-year-old kids and NIL and all the other BS that goes with being the coach.
Yeah,
spring bowl is the last thing on their mind.
If you grew up,
you know what? During the entire spring game, they're probably out there, trying to make sure they go shake hands with every recruit that's on campus that day.
Yeah, I mean, well, and so look, I don't want to be full curmudgeon. Like, I feel you. It's a good event for the fans. It's exciting for young players. You can have recruits there, which is always solid. So there is value there. I just don't know what form it takes on the field. Because, like, just from a viewer standpoint, I don't give a damn about the spring game. Honestly, I lie about watching the spring game every year. I get on my show and act like I watch it.
Because I got two. I just got 2 games. I got Arkansas spring game next weekend. And then I got LSU spring game the following weekend. So back to back. I kind of like it. This whole, moving to ESPN, it's like I get a little, mid off season work to kind of knock some of the rust off.
Yeah, flex the old muscles a little bit. Well, hell yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
Get in early T-Bob's ass and some golf on Thursday.
Yeah, get in early Thursday so we can play
golf.
I
was smacking it today.
Oh, I bet you were. Now that week's finally up. 4 teams that could challenge the Georgia Bulldogs. What the fuck? Georgia won the national championship 65-7. Is that right? I read that and I was like, hold on, what? I thought it was like 48-20. I thought it was like 48-14 or something. I did not remember 65-7.
Yeah. Just asshole.
College football is in trouble. So like, I went to read this piece and that immediately set the tone as we will get into these 4 teams and who actually feels like they're close. NSIF in the chat says USC, and USC. Hell yeah. Petite Trojan boys coming for you. Oh man, we had a new person. Oh, Daniel Lee says, finally get to catch an episode live. Wife told me to stop working for a bit due to a baby on the way. We're moving to a new house. Perks of marrying a doctor. Get a break from working and live snaps. Hell yeah, Daniel. Way to go. Nice. Nabbing a doctor and way to go watching snaps live. So as we get into this conversation about who the 4 teams will be, Aaron, there's a Brian Kelly quote that I want to read where he kind of sets the tone. Because, of course, LSU scored 30 against UGA. I guess they had some modicum of offensive success. Brian Kelly says, quote, "We scored enough points, but we couldn't match up physically yet. You look at other teams, obviously Ohio State had enough of that to take them right down to the wire. Teams are building towards that model that Kirby's put together. And he watched Nick do it, making a major pivot towards scoring more points and being more productive offensively. All the while, they still had to have that physicality. If you have a flaw in one of those areas, where you're not physical enough on the offensive line or the defensive line, and you can't be explosive, then you cannot beat Georgia. And as I read that, maybe that felt obvious to some of you, and maybe I'm an idiot for not thinking about it in such just very clear and distinct terms, but this did kind of fascinate me, right? I never thought about the fact that Alabama, Georgia, what they're really doing, they haven't abandoned the old philosophies for the new age. All they've done is marry the two. And it's exactly right. And it's the hardest thing to achieve from a roster building standpoint, because you just have to get the best players. Like, you cannot purely scheme physicality, or you cannot you can create schemes that lean on physicality. You can create schemes that lean on explosivity. I don't think you can just scheme up both without just having the best talent, right? And that's exactly what Alabama did for years and what Georgia has done now. And it's like, okay, so they have all the explosivity of a Tennessee, but then they still have the old school line dominance of what you think about when you think about teams dominated around like the 2010s, 2013s. And it's a little intimidating when viewed from that perspective, Aaron, because, again, recruiting is the only way to close that gap, in my opinion, and nobody is recruiting at the level that Georgia is right now.
Is explosivity the right word, or is it explosiveness? Which one is
it? Probably. I like how explosivity sounds more, but I don't know if that's
it sounds good though. But like, I feel like the offense needed to be more explosive.
This is
explosivity sounds a little less milesy.
It is. I think it is. A lot of this, you Google it. I'm not seeing a Merriam-Webster. I'm getting a Wiktionary, which is like a Wikipedia dictionary. WordNick, your dictionary. No, so explosivity is a little made up, but you get the point. You get the point.
It did sound good, though. I will say it did sound good.
It's a great word. You should use it.
It is. Yeah. All right. Listen, you did say though, like, you have to have everything to take down. I mean, let's go to what is given Georgia the biggest issues the past 2 years, and these, to me, these are I would say the two core foundations to beat them. If you have this, you'll have a chance. Can you get after the quarterback? One, what they did to Alabama did a couple years ago, and two, do you have an elite quarterback and at least one to two, preferably two, I would say, top tier receivers. Alabama had that 2 years ago in the SEC championship game, won that, probably would have won the national championship if they stayed healthy. Ohio State had the same thing last year, where it was a missed field goal away from winning that football game. But what did they have? They had the top receiver in the country, and they had the top quarterback in the country. And you can make the argument, if Jackson Smith and Jigba decided to play in that game and they had the second elite receiver, probably would have won that game. And honestly, may have won the game if Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't get knocked out of the game either. That's the formula. Like, can you make them one-dimensional on offense? Can you get after the quarterback? And do you have an elite quarterback with a couple of elite receivers on the outside to give them fits? Because DBs are good.
Do you have everything? Do you have everything that every football team ever wants? Right?
But we've seen it, though. We've seen it
for sure.
Like, Alabama had it 2 years ago, and Ohio State was pretty right there to have it last year. And Ohio State really didn't have the defensive piece, but they did have the offensive piece. I think more than anything, do you have the explosiveness on the outside, and do you have multiple of them? You can scheme up one receiver. Can you scheme up two? In these offenses nowadays where you move guys around, it's hard to slow down two elite guys. So it's rare. I will say, you don't see it all the time, but Ohio State has proven that they could put together an elite quarterback and elite receivers. Alabama has proven they could put together an elite quarterback and elite receivers. I think LSU is a spot that can put together an elite quarterback and elite receivers. They've proven it.
Yeah.
That's the type of team. I mean, Joe Burrow and them kicked their ass a few years ago. That's the type of team you need to beat, because Georgia is still a little bit more traditional. I think they will evolve on offense a little bit this year, but I still think Kirby is more of a ground and pound, physicality wins type of team, where I do think those teams are a little bit more finesse, that have that aerial attack, can give them troubles at times.
No, Georgia is like Ohio State and Michigan combined into one. And that's what makes them so scary, is that, and that's what Brian Kelly's getting at there. He's like, we actually kind of had the explosive part of it down, but we could not hang on the line. Like, that's essentially what Brian Kelly is telling you there. And that's always going to be the toughest place to keep up with Alabama and UGA, even though I still don't know what's been up with Alabama's offensive line the last couple of years. Like, there's no excuse for as many mistakes or as many negative plays. No. They have too many highly ranked recruits. Like, that group has been probably one of the more disappointing position groups in the entire country. So the 4 teams listed in the article by Heather Dinich, great piece. You go check it out. Alabama, of course. Look, Nick Saban's 4-1 against Kirby. It's Alabama. Like, who had the number 1 recruiting class this year? The only school close to UGA talent-wise. Neither team has a quarterback. I think UGA is better for whatever it's worth, but like, if we're talking about who could upset Georgia, like, absolutely Alabama belongs on this list. LSU is on this list. Brian Kelly's now 0-3 against Kirby. A couple close run things back in the day, right? Wasn't there a great Notre Dame Georgia game in Sanford a few years ago at night?
Yep.
That I believe was very close.
Game. I think that was Fromm's freshman year. Or was his second year? I don't remember. I don't know how close it was, though.
Winsipedia, for anybody listening, Winsipedia, you look up 2 teams, you go to their Winsipedia, and it has it's a great graphic that tells you like what the games have been. Okay, in 2017 in South Bend, Georgia won 20-19. And then in Athens in 2019, Georgia won 23-17. So they had a couple battles. Games. And then, of course, 50-30 in last year's SEC championship. The only thing I'll say about LSU is from that pure talent perspective, they're just not at the level that Alabama or Georgia are on a top to bottom roster basis. Starting, we'll see.
I think their starters are better than Alabama right now, though. I could
entertain that argument.
If we're saying who of those 2 teams, of all of these teams, honestly, I still think LSU is the team that could beat Georgia next year. Who is good enough to beat Georgia? I would say it's LSU. They got the quarterback, they got the receivers, they got the running game, they got the offensive line. You got Mason, you got returners at all 3 levels. You get Mason back at defensive tackle, who's a freaking stud.
That's going to be huge.
You got Harold Perkins at linebacker. Like that is maybe one of the more complete rosters in America. Like I love LSU next year. It's not just because you're my co-host, I'm blowing you up, and it's not because I have their spring game in a couple of weeks. Of all the teams in this list, they have less question marks. LSU right now has less question marks heading into next season as T-Bob shows off his beautiful purple and is it yellow or gold?
Well, finish that thought. Purple and gold is what we say, but it is purple and yellow. Finish that thought, though. What were you going to say? LSU has less question marks than what?
Yeah, LSU has less question marks to me than every other team heading into next season. So I just have more confidence. Maybe they're not more talented. We'll find out. Well, I mean, Ohio State, we have to see what the quarterback looks like. Alabama, we have to find out what a lot of positions look like. I know what LSU is going to look like. And I think it's pretty darn scary. And I trust their head coach. So go Tigers.
Andy J in the chat says, I think South Carolina is a sneaky candidate because everyone's focused on Tennessee in the East, but it's always the team that you don't take seriously. I mean, look, let's be clear. UJ did almost get got by Mizzou. Okay, so I don't think it's out of pocket to think about South Carolina stealing one. The only problem is I think this article is more talking about who could like beat them for a championship, right? Like I could see maybe Georgia slipping up somewhere, but like, can you beat them in Atlanta? Because I don't think even if South Carolina got
Georgia
at
their best. If Georgia played a B+, A- game, could you still hang with them?
And I think that's more of this list. Yeah, and that's Alabama, that's LSU. I do still think that's Tennessee, though it's a big prove it year for Tennessee and Heupel next year. How much of it was Hendon Hooker? I know I know you're a big.
I just don't think
you're a big
the offense isn't produced. I mean, Heupel's offense has not produced in 2 years versus Georgia. I mean, there's something that Kirby right now just hasn't done. Last year only 13
Georgia's
points.
Just way better on a man-to-man basis.
Oh, they are. Then the year before, where they score 17 points, they've yet to put 20 points up in the past 2 years with Heupel. So Kirby's got that whole attack kind of locked down. So it is a prove it year. I think Joe's a stud, Joe Milton. They're a team to, like LSU. I don't think they're as talented at the starting position as LSU, but just like LSU, there's a depth issue that needs to be built. And with depth creates competition. Yeah. And as we know, great competition in practice. That's what makes Georgia so good. That's what makes Alabama so good. It's what they do competition-wise during the week. Those starters are being pushed day in and day out. Georgia's 20 mid-year guys, 4- and 5-star guys. You don't think they're just fucking foaming at the mouth right now to be a starter on this football team, pushing every upperclassman to be better? There is a sense of urgency at all times at Georgia. There is a sense of urgency at all times at Alabama. At Tennessee, LSU, you get kind of comfortable. You're better than the backup. You need depth. You need competition. Yes.
The only thing I will say is that you better beware, Aaron. Those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. And far too often we see these championship programs start to bend over in the same way they used to knuckle Ben Jones' asshole. They start sniffing their own farts, okay? And what do I always say? Wooden clogs on the way up, silk slippers on the way down. I wonder, can Georgia keep their eat-off-the-floor attitude as all the players make more money, all of them get more and more used to winning, used to being the big dog? It's a classic Biggie situation. Mo money, mo problems. Now, Kirby Smart has handled it impeccably thus far. Can he continue to handle it on a year in, year out basis?
You know what he's telling them right now? He's telling them that everyone is saying in the media that they're an 8-5 team next year.
Yeah. But you know what happens? But what happens when they don't believe it anymore? Right? Like this last year, he somehow mind ninja'd them. But what happens when your coach tries to sell you that and you're like, no, we are all 5 stars. we are far better than all the.
We know we're good. So
yeah. What happens when he's like, have you seen our schedule, coach?
you know what gave Georgia an edge last year? It starts, and this is QB1 privilege here. It starts with the quarterback. Does your quarterback, who sets the tempo for the team, what is his edge? Stetson had this mega edge to him. We all know he did. That pissed off at the world mentality. We've seen it. We saw it at the parade, all that. Like, it's me against the world. You guys don't want me. I don't care. I'm going to prove you wrong. Like, that was Stetson. And everyone on the team kind of bought it, along with Kirby, who kind of had his message. But everyone bought into that. You feed off your quarterback. The thing that I like about right now is you have a guy that has waited his turn, a guy that is hungry as hell and ready to take over, that doesn't want to squander his opportunity. He's been waiting for 3 years for this chance. Now it's his, and he's ready to go. It's not like you got some 5th year or 4th year senior returning that everyone loves that's kind of going through the motions. The quarterback sets the tempo. Carson's ready to go. I think he dictates that speed in practice, and that's why I don't feel like you're going to see much of a let-up.
Well, you better be good. Well, you're not going to see a let-up, again, statistically, because they don't play anybody. But he better be good because if he's not as good, he's not going to inspire that same confidence out of the team. If Georgia does lose to Tennessee next year, then they got major problems because that's the only true test that they have all year long. That'll feel very much like an exposure of next year's Georgia. And then the last team on the list has to be Ohio State, right? Ryan Day's 0-1 against Kirby. To me, he is the 3rd member of the talent triumvirate. There are 3 programs on a different level from a pure recruiting talent standpoint, and it's Georgia, it's Alabama, and it's Ohio State. So like Alabama, or like UGA, like Alabama, Ohio State is the team that can hang with UGA on a player-to-player basis. You saw it last year. I think for me with Ohio State, the question is the same way that back in 2021, Kirby Smart found the few final tweaks that he had to make to the formula to get across the finish line. I think that's the point that Ryan Day is at right now. And I remember loving Kirby Smart's press conferences coming out of the pandemic year where he's talking about exit interviews that they did, how the team didn't feel close. And so their theme that offseason was like, okay, we're going to actually move back on the practice field. We're going to take away some of the work. We're going to add in more bonding. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And it created whatever. It was the final tweaks to the alchemical mixture that then made them a national champion. I don't know what those are for Ryan Day. How could I? But the question is whether or not Ryan Day can figure out what those are.
He's there. I still like Michigan more. I mean, I would put Michigan in there as the team over Ohio State. Overall, I guess this is where I'm torn. Ohio State's a better matchup to beat Georgia, but I don't think they're going to get the opportunity to do that because I think Michigan.
No way Michigan gets them 3 years in a row, dude. There's no way.
They got them at the big house. They got the returners. They got the one of the front runners to win the Heisman at running back. They're going to be great at offensive line. You got JJ back, who improved throughout last season. They're going to be good on defense. Like, what is there not to like about Michigan next year? Michigan, to me, is one of the two teams besides them and Georgia that I feel the most confident with getting to the playoffs. So while Ohio State is more likely to beat Georgia, unless we get a season like last year, I don't know if they're going to get that opportunity. So that's kind of where I'm torn right now. I think Michigan would be the one trying to slay that dragon at the end of the day. But they're just not a good matchup for Georgia. They're just not. They want to do is exactly what Georgia is, and Georgia's just deeper and better than them at it. You got to be a little bit different.
Yeah, because you're right. They are trying to achieve some of the a mixture of explosivity and finesse that is more akin to Georgia than maybe even Alabama. Like Alabama is even a bit more finesse than is Georgia. And it feels like if you're going to overcome Georgia, but you're not going to be as talented, that thumb on the scale for finesse.
You really think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan next year with everything?
No, I mean, I don't know. Now that it's almost just like the mathematical fact of like trying to beat a good team 3 times in a row. But now that we talked it out, no, I think you're probably,
Ohio State beat the living crap out of Ohio State for a decade plus. So it's possible that rivalry to go on some pretty big runs.
No, trust me. I mean, I saw it, with LSU and Alabama. Then again, that was Les Miles versus Nick Saban. I think Harbaugh, Ryan Day is a little bit of a different beast. Hey, you know how ESPN used to do cold, hard facts? Well, I got some corn cob facts for you, Aaron Murray. That's right. Nebraska. I got massive news out in Nebraska. Nebraska is honoring Frank Solich at the spring game.
Nice. Awesome. It's going to help them win more games next year.
Massive news. Massive news. Massive news. The reason being, Frank Solich is the reason why Nebraska has been bad for 2 decades now. Because they fired Frank not realizing that they were cursing themselves. So Frank Solich is a Nebraska guy through and through. Okay, he was a fullback there in the 60s, assistant to Tom Osborne for 2 decades. He won 75% of his games before being fired. He was 58-19 in his 6 seasons as a head coach, right? Now, Osborne retired at the peak. They had won 3 or 4 natties. Then comes in Solich. First year, they win the Big 12. They finished number 2 in the country. 2 years later, they played for a BCS title game. But then in 2002, it went wrong fast. They finished 0-2, 7-7. Now, he loses a couple games early on in 2003. All of a sudden, bam! First-year AD Steve Peterson fires Frank Solich after just 1.5 bad years. And the 2003 year in which he got fired, the team actually finished the season 10-3. Now, you can say he was 16-12 over the final 28 games. Sure, but first-year AD Steve Peterson fires him saying, quote, "I refuse to let the program gravitate into mediocrity." So here they have a Husker through and through that was leading them to winning football, played for a national championship even a couple years after Osborne retires, and they fire him after 1 bad year, no rope allowed. And what has happened? They haven't gravitated towards mediocrity. They have rushed headlong into it. Now, this is where it gets crazy. That 7-7 year was the first time since 1968 they had failed to win at least 9 games. So we're talking for nearly 30 years, 9 games every year. Since they fired Frank Solich, they've won 9 games. just 9 times in the 20 years. They haven't even had a winning season in the past 6. So the same way that if you're watching Mandalorian right now, Dave Filoni is healing the Star Wars fan base, right? He's bringing in elements from the animated show, from the video games. He made the prequels better with Clone Wars. He's brought all these disparate groups together in that same way. If you want to heal the future, you first have to suture the wounds of the past, okay? That's what Matt Rule is doing, bringing Frank Solich to the spring game. Matt Rule is about to lead a revolution in Nebraska unlike anything you have ever seen, Aaron Murray. That is a pro. You want to talk about a sleeping giant? That's a sleeping giant.
You know what you should do, T-Bob? You should take that, pair it with some Mandalorian, put it in Chat GPT, and it would spit out a hell of an article that I think would be fucking awesome. That's what we should do right now. Look, what Matt you just talked about was inspiring. I'm just like, if you put all that together, Chat GPT, go make an article based on Mandalorian and all this and bam, let's go. Snaps articles, snappicals.
T-Bob, how high did you get one night to decide you're going to be this passionate about Nebraska? Look, I'm like a stock investor. Okay. I just look for value, and I see huge value in Nebraska right now because there's haters like Aaron who will tell you ridiculous things like watch the tape. Okay. What I'm saying is watch the narrative, and I can see the storylines before they play out. And I just know that Nebraska is about to finally awaken from its slumber like a dragon of old, and Caligon the Black is coming back for revenge. And it's with the alpha male Matt Rule at the head of the Cobb Army. Let's go. T-Cobb's back, baby.
T-Cobb is back. I can't wait to watch him win 4 games next year. It's going to be exciting stuff. Matt Rule, year 1 does not blow your blouse up.
No, but he has to now. That's not allowed anymore. He has to at least be bowl eligible next year. He has to. We talked about it yesterday. Because Kim Mulkey showed you in the transfer portal NIL
year 2 for her.
Get good.
It was year 2 for her.
No, but look at what she did year 1. She brought them to second in the SEC. They were 2 seed in the tournament. They were awesome still in year 1. I'm not saying he has
a little bit easier. Basketball is easier to transform a program. You just need 2 players, and all of a sudden you're a contender. Football's a little bit more difficult, T-Bob.
Strong league versus weak league.
I think so. I always was a coach has 3 years to prove it, because in 3 years you could, you traditionally you take a freshman, that freshman class, and then by their 3rd year we'll see what they look like. Now with the portal, I don't think it's 1 year. I think it's 2. I think you just shave off a year. You get 2 years to show pretty massive improvement. And then your 3rd year is like, you're on the hot seat already. Like everything got locked up a year.
Yeah. No, look, I 3 years has always been kind of year 1. He has to be bowl eligible. No, but he has to be bowl eligible. There's no excuse. I feel you. It gets bumped up to year 2, but they still, what were they last year? 4-8, I believe, off the top of my head. They have to be 6-6. That's not a high bar. That's not a crazy bar. I'm sorry. There's not that many good teams in the Big Ten. Like, if you're paying Matt Rule, Aaron, there's no way you can pay Matt Rule $10 million and not expect him to win at least 6 games. Make it happen. What is the Nebraska over-under on wins right now?
It's possible. That conference does suck. My God.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying, dude. 6-6, baby. Let's go.
I do not see them listed, but we also have to go.
Yeah.
Well,
I gotta go. I gotta go do Easter basket. I gotta go do Easter econ at Maddox school. So let's go. About to kick some kids over so Maddox gets plenty of candy for tonight.
Hell yeah. Pew pew all over those little kids, dude. Also, I forgot to say this earlier in the show. You would definitely be better in the XFL because, again, you're playing quarterback. It's the hardest but easiest position in football. It's the hardest position, but the easiest. And you understand what I'm saying? Yes, it is the hardest. I agree.
You just have to get in the way of someone. You literally just have to snap a ball and get in the way.
Yeah, it's physically demanding. Unlike playing quarterback. You
play center. It's not like you're playing. It's not like unless you got like a zero technique. Unless you got a zero technique, it's not like you're ever like manning someone up. You always got like another hand or 2 hands on them too. So don't act like you're like having to get like Vince Wilfork, 375 pounds, as a zero on your face.
Well, what about when you fucking do get Vince Wilfork? Yeah, that's what sucks because you're right.
Yeah,
because you're not used to it.
In the XFL. That ain't happening in the XFL.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I used to hate a zero nose. I'm like, man, come on, man. I'm trying to combo block. I'm trying to get to the next level. Now all of a sudden I got to deal with this freaking 700-pound nose guard in front of me who's like 5'10". Can't move him for shit. Oh, man. All right. Well, hey, look, we love y'all. Shout out the volume, youtube.com/volume. Thank you to Papa Colin for having us here every single day. Hit the like button. Please review. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 ways of asking Snaps questions. First way is by emailing handsonballs53@gmail.com. Second way is by leaving a review on the Apple Store or Spotify Store with a question. And we can get to that to help please the algorithmic gods that rule our existence. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Snaps.